Today is a World Intellectual Property Day, and the calls are growing for the federal government to implement laws that will ensure content creators make the most of their intellectual property. I'm being joined at this time by Executive Director, Lead Network, Chukuwma Okenwa, for more on this discussion. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. Again, the issue of intellectual property is staring us in the face. How exactly does it work? How does a content creator protect his or her work from infringement and theft?
Well, of course, from its very definition, intellectual property means two things. First, you talk about those creations of minds, which could come in forms of ideas, inventions, designs, and of course the laws that protect it, the laws that grants the legal right to either the inventor, to the designer, to whoever that is involved, and it comes in different forms at trademarks, patents, and of course you also have copyright for writers, musicians, and all the rest. But of course, one of the things that intellectual property suffers, just like every other property, is that it could be a victim of theft. You talk about intellectual theft in some forms of infringement, and when these things are unchecked, those inventors are discouraged because they lose the right over their job. Either they are not rightly recognized for coming up with these ideas, or they don't even earn from the ideas. Maybe like a situation where someone could publish a book and you have like some others, right? Like those that like see this as an industry, they engage in intellectual theft, and at the end of the day, you don't even end up earning for your ideas. But like getting back to your question, there are two ways. First and foremost, Nigeria is not one of the nations that is known to invest into largely into a developing of intellectual property. I mean, we are not even anywhere among the first 30 nations in terms of the world innovative nations in 2022. So there needs to be a lot of critical investment. And then most importantly, the laws are not just enough, but educating people about these laws and as well as enforcing it. Because most persons that have been victims of intellectual theft are not even aware that there are provisions they can actually take it up and then get those tips to actually pay dearly for it. And I think a whole lot of orientation needs to be done about that. We need to begin to value it so that people can actually understand that if you don't own the land, you can actually gain in your mind or utilize the mind to achieve all that physical properties could not gain for you. And people must see this and treasure it just as much as we value physical property, so that we can begin to have more innovators, more inventors, more writers that can actually thrive on their originality and creativity.
Talking about innovators, the theme this year actually focuses on IP and young people, maximizing technology and being innovative. You spoke about the laws. How can we strengthen these laws to ensure that people's intellectual property are actually properly protected?
Of course, the laws are not just enough. The laws are only a provisions. And I can tell you in terms of like some wonderful laws as regards to intellectual property, Nigeria is not in short supply. But where the problem is in the enforcement. And of course, even the victims realizing and understanding that it is their right to actually demand that justice be done. Because I mean, lots of young person, and this come in different forms. Sometimes someone could submit a proposal to a big multinational, and they execute the idea and nothing happens. I mean, the person just end up, crying that you see your ideas, all over the place, and you don't gain any recognition, you don't gain any financial benefit. And it's quite discouraging, even for a nation like Nigeria, where we know that there is that innovative gap, especially when it has to do with the young persons. But most importantly, the government must lead the drive in demonstrating commitment and value for intellectual development and property by investing, by being very critical. I mean very intentionally making some of these investments very, very important.
It's not just about making the laws, it's about actually implementing the laws. Thank you very much for joining us at this time. Chukuwma Okenwa, Director, Lead Network. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7.